Welcome back to the Salisha Show. I'm your host, Salisha Thomas, and my heart is overjoyed. You guys, a few years ago, I was a part of a show that quickly became my favorite show. And I've done a lot of shows that I'm like, this is my favorite. No, this is my favorite. No, but this one is so special. And it went to the top of my list very quickly. It's called Trevor the Musical. And that show, we worked on it outside of New York in a little town called Glencoe. And it has finally moved to New York City. And today I am sitting down with two of the producers of this show, Trevor the Musical, and I couldn't be more excited. Please help me welcome the producers and my friends of Trevor, John Ambrosino and Josie Bray.
So excited to be here.
Hey, you guys. How are you?
Do you think the at-home audience clapped? I imagine they clapped.
I know. I hope they clap.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they're listening in their cars or wherever they're listening to this ad.
Well, if they're listening in their cars, I hope they kept driving. But maybe they stopped clapping.
You guys, I'm so happy to see you. I miss you both tremendously.
I miss you too.
I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, well, first I want to say congratulations. You did it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did it. And I'm so honored that I got to be there for your opening night off-Broadway in New York friggin' City. Josie, that's awesome. Like, so what is if you had to describe that night in one word, what you got?
Wow. That's
amazed.
It. Wow. There it is. Wow.
Wow. John says, wow. Josie, what did you say?
Amazed.
Okay. Tell me, what did it feel like? First of all, how long have you been working? I know some of these answers, but still, you can remind me. How long have you been working on this show?
It's with the pandemic, it's 8 years.
I forgot about that thing.
Yeah, it would have been 7 if we had opened on time, but with the pandemic, it's 8.
And we had been meeting before we knew the project was Trevor. I mean, John and I have known each other for 20 years and have worked on projects for 20 years. But before we knew this project was going to be Trevor, we were working to create something that would hopefully open in New York probably for a year before, John, a year and a half. I mean, our first meeting was at that little cafe in Astoria. Scarlett had just been born.
Well, how old is Scarlett?
She just turned 11.
So then so 11 years ago.
Yeah.
11 years ago.
11 years ago is when we started our producing partnership, or discussing the idea of starting a producing partnership. Trevor was not the first project that we, kind of explored as an underlying rights property to develop into a musical. It came a little bit later. And that's 8 years ago. Trevor is 8 years ago.
Yeah, but our sort of partnership of deciding we were going to do something like this is 11 years.
And you guys both come from different worlds. Like both in the arts, of course, but in terms of producing, you've come from a different world. So how did you fall into this together and then come up with this story?
So
okay, wait. Can I start?
And go ahead, Josie.
Okay, so John Ambrosino had this small theater company in Boston. We were both right out of college, but we didn't know each other in college. John had this small theater company in Boston, and my undergraduate is in modern dance. So I had been doing small dance projects in Boston, but my master's degree is in theater. So I kind of wanted to get back into theater. And I don't know, I think I was like 22, 23. And I was like, I want to get back into performing and in theater, not in dance. And so there was this audition for this play that took place in a sandbox. And it was like a fusion piece of theater between Japanese no theater and Greek drama, and they were looking for dancers. And I'm dyslexic, Salisha, so this is why I'm not an actor. I'm dyslexic. I can't memorize lines. Oh yeah. And so they were looking for dancers. So I was like, okay, check. But also I had to memorize, I think it was a Greek monologue, John. You wanted us to, yeah.
I asked for a classic Greek monologue, yeah.
Yes. So I worked my ass off to try to memorize this classic Greek monologue. And I went into this audition. I got it wrong every time.
It was Ismene from Antigone.
Oh, thank you for remembering. So so I got that piece of text wrong every single time I did it. I messed it up every time. But I could dance. And so I went into this audition and I left and I was like, there is no way I'm being cast in this thing. And I did get cast.
I mean, and to be fair, it wasn't that she was doing anything bad in the performing. She was just forgetting the lines. So like immediately she was, vivid in something that I wanted to watch. I was directing the show. So she would mess up the words, but she wasn't messing up the performance. So she's making it seem a lot more like dire than it was. It was actually quite good, but like she just would forget the lines every once in a while. And
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, I love these
That's why I met Josie Bray.
So he cast me, and then we started working on this project. And then John was doing another project and asked if I choreographed. And I said yes. And so on our next project, we started being an artistic team, and I stopped performing. I still perform every once in a while for fun, but like I'm not a performer at my heart. And so then we had this company.
Well,
Okay.
that was a huge leap. So
Wait.
So she choreographed this. So I had started this theater company and was running it in South End of Boston, and she choreographed the show. And we had such a great collaboration on that project that I said, look, I'd be interested in working with you on future projects. And she agreed. And I asked her if she wanted to be the co-artistic director of the company with me. So we ended up co-leading this theater company in Boston together. At the time, I was making a transition from an artistic perspective from the theater. I always wanted to work on musicals. They just happen to be incredibly expensive to do, even if you're doing them at a little level. They're always massively expensive. And I kind of got to the point where the company was known enough and we had enough donor support to be able to like transition into that realm. And so she came on board when we were just about to do that, and we kind of figured out how the company could start producing musicals.
So, and then from there, where'd Trevor come from?
We both left that because we realized that we wanted to work in New York, hopefully present, produce, direct, choreograph work in New York. We didn't know how to really get there. We both came to that conclusion basically at the same time. We both told each other at a Starbucks in Beacon Hill in Boston, basically on the same day, and actually on the same day. And we were like, well, we'll get to New York somehow and we'll figure it out. And I went off, and the first work that I got in New York was acting. So I was doing that. And Josie was, being an associate choreographer and director in New York on Broadway. And we eventually came back and said, we want to do this. But actually it was my partner, Mark Woods, who suggested that we produce musicals for Broadway, and in a very nonchalant way. I know it sounds crazy.
Like, let's just do that.
He's like, why don't you guys just do that? Why don't you guys just do a Broadway show? And I was like, look, I'm pretty sure that's just not how it happens, Mark Woods, but okay. But Josie had, from working on Ragtime, made a mentor, who became our producing mentor, Manny Eisenberg. And we met with Manny Eisenberg and said, we want to do this. And he kind of said, okay. And we started a company and started looking for underlying rights properties. So
there's one part of that story that I think is important to tell, which is that we were sitting at the Edison Cafe and we talked to Manny about being a producer. And he said, if I told you that you went out this door and it was an ocean full of sharks, would you still want to go swimming in it? That's what it means to be a producer.
No. It's okay. You're in this diner. You're in this diner, and the only way out is that front door. And on the other side of that front door is a pack of lions who haven't been fed in months. But the only way out is to walk into the pack of lions. Will you still walk out that door?
Oh, I remember it as sharks. Total different
No,
memory.
it's lions.
Very severe, and you guys were like, yes.
Yes, we said yes.
We were like, sign me up.
Okay, so wait, I have a question for you, like a hindsight question. If you were to start today, are there any shortcuts that you would take to like, from the origin of everything to getting a show, a successful show in New York City with a real live audience? If you were to do it starting today's day one, are there shortcuts that you know that you would take now? I don't know if shortcuts is the word with the connotation that I want, but I mean...
Yeah, shortcuts are hard, but you mean like, now that we know what we know, are there different choices we would make?
Yes. Now that you know what you know, are there different choices that you would make to get you there sooner?
I don't know that you can get it there sooner if you do the process the way that we did the process. So the real question is, would you do the same type of process? Our process was literally, identifying the underlying rights property or the document, getting those rights, matching a writing team to it, matching a creative team to it, developing the work, doing it out of town, doing the readings, doing the developmental workshops, doing an out-of-town production, and then bringing it into New York. I don't know that you can do that process faster. Even if remove the pandemic, I don't know that you can do that process faster. Maybe here and there you could shave some time off, but I think it depends on what the process ends up being. I'm not sure you can pre-see what's going to happen.
I think the only thing in that you could possibly do faster is if you know more people ahead of time. It's maybe easier to get a regional theater who's willing to help you develop it, because that took some time, and it just took time because we didn't know as many people as if, say, we had been established for 20 years.
Right.
But the process John's describing... Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Josie. You're still operating on the same cycle, right? So if your project and this happened to us, Trevor kind of matured to the point when it was ready to be done out of town at a regional around February, March of a year. Well, every regional had already chosen their next year's season, which puts you 2 years out. So that's the thing that's difficult, right? Is that what really would have been better is if the musical had matured in, July, August of that year, so that we could have been in their thought process August, September for their next year. So that's the thing that's tough, because the regional theaters operate kind of on an academic schedule. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they've already accepted their next class by the time we were ready to put in our application.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see here. First of all, what would you say? Because I've been asked this question a million times, and I would like to hear you guys sum it up. When people ask you, what is Trevor about? What do you say? What is it to you?
Do you want to go, Josie?
Sure, I'll go. I say, usually I ask the person if they've heard of the Trevor Project first. And then I say, well, that organization is based on a short film about an 8th grade boy who's bullied for being gay, experiences depression and suicidal thoughts, and overcomes that experience and returns back to life, or back to school, making the conscious choice to go back into the world having had this experience. And then I say, and our music is funny and uplifting, and even though it's about this very serious topic, which is so heart-centered and so important, it's fun and hopeful, and because you talk about suicide and people think oh, this must be like a 3-hour bummer. It's not at all.
It's not.
It's not at all, and intentionally so. The film's not a bummer.
The film is cute. It's really
I know, it's so sweet.
It's cute. John?
That's what I say.
What do I say? I usually also ask, have you ever heard of the Trevor Project, and then explain the film origin. But I would say it's about a 13-year-old boy in 1981 who is discovering his sexuality in a time that's not really ready for it, and how he deals with that coming of life moment. And if they ask more, I say, it's really the thing that's great about the show is that it's incredibly funny, incredibly entertaining, and you kind of like are joyously washed along by this boy's, joie de vivre until the other people take it out of him. And for me, why the story is so important is, as a gay man, it's not so much about like, opening up the idea of becoming gay or being gay in the United States, as we've kind of done that. We've kind of emerged from the shadows in so many ways. Yeah. But to me, it's about looking back on a cultural power structure that exists. It has existed forever. And to ask ourselves, like, do we still do this to each other when we're not in middle school anymore? And why do we do this to each other when we're not in middle school? Have we actually really grown up? Have we become a culture of 2021? Have we become a 21-year-old or a 40-year-old? Because I know that the same kind of power dynamics exist in every area of culture, even when you're 41. It's, to me, the musical asks us to examine whether or not we've been big enough to grow out of our middle school selves.
I also just want to say, like, I'm so proud of this work because it's so heart-centered. It's really, it's a cast of kids.
Yeah.
It's a cast of kids. And they are, and, we have this kind of, we have one of the songs called What's Wrong With Me? And just to piggyback off of John's idea, it's like, even the kids who are not in the role of Trevor have this fear of like, what's wrong with me? And the way that we kind of internalize that idea that there's something wrong with me, and that those power structures kind of lay in and reinforce those fears. Oh, there's something wrong with me. I must need to X, Y, and Z for there not to be something wrong with me.
Right. I will say, like, and from my perspective, even like, and you were saying it's a cast of kids with a couple of adults. I remember being like, oh, there's children everywhere, and they're so professional and so good at what they do, but they're also still kids at the same time. They're so fun, and I haven't gotten to know this group that you have. I did get to meet Holden on your opening night, and he is so lovable. Like, Holden is so great. He plays such a great Trevor. And while I was watching it, I was sitting in the second row, and Eli Tokash, who was the Trevor when I was in it, he was sitting in the first row. And every now and then I would look over at him because we have such a bond because of this show. And I hope that the current cast also is close, and it feels like they are. It's just, it brings me so much joy to think about this work coming together, and I just hope everybody in it like loves it as much as like I did when I was there. And as I want to ask you guys, like, as producers, do you guys play a role? And the answer might be no. I really don't know. Do you guys play a role in making the cast feel safe at all? And by that could mean many different things. I will say I noticed when I saw the show, Franny was Black. Franny wasn't Black back in the day, honey. I was like, this is amazing. Do you guys have any role in that?
I mean, we're involved in the casting process for sure. And, the creative process of putting together who's in the show. So we're in the room when we decide, and when the artistic team decides who they want to use as actors in the show. In terms of making people feel safe and part of a group, I like to believe that how we lead as producers engenders that in the creative team, which engenders that in the cast. I like to believe that how we choose to interact with the actors and the artists on our team, makes them trust who we are, and as business people and as artists as well, and hopefully allow them to feel comfortable doing everything that they're doing. So absolutely, I would hope that that's the case. Interestingly enough, the camaraderie that you talk about, that team that you talk about from the Chicago cast, it has magically been so for every incarnation of Trevor we've done, from every
Every show.
reading, from
That is not a
the out
coincidence.
of town production, and because these are kids, it's not that the talent travels forward, because most of the cast age out before the next incarnation of it.
Right.
And so what's kind of has been magical about it is that in every incarnation, these casts have bonded together in a way that it's everything that I ever want theater to be. There is it doesn't seem to be from a place of ego or a place of, even the adults. They become part of this fabric of carrying the story forward. And so just so you know, it is actually like that at Stage 42 right now in New York, and it just like as it was at the Writers Theater, it's just different people doing it. And I also feel like everybody who touches this story tends to, just like yourself and also Eli, coming back to this cast, and this cast is so excited that Eli and you are there, and you guys are so excited that they are there. It's
awesome. It
is one of those magic things about, I think, Trevor and this story, that people feel they feel honored to be able to carry the story forward. And it doesn't hurt that 90% of the cast are 13-year-olds who, to me, are, young people are the most inspiring members of our human race. They see so far beyond maybe what I can see as a 42-year-old man closed off by all sorts of barriers. And with that kind of energy as the foundation for a cast rather than an adult energy, I think that kind of makes that happen.
Before I get to you, Josie, because I want to ask you too, I just want to comment on what you just said, John, about the whole ego thing. It starts at the top. It starts at the top, and knowing, and I know you guys, so I can speak on this personally, knowing you, John, and you, Josie, and Mark, who's not here, and Mark Bruni, the director. And Matt Deichman and Julianne Wick-Davis and Dan Collins. I know you all personally, and you don't. Oh, and Josh Prince. You guys don't operate from a place of ego. Everybody in the room is whoever has the best idea. That's what we're going with. A place of, we all want this to succeed. And that energy trickles down. It trickles down to the adults you've cast, to the leads you've cast, through the kids. And so I want to just commend you guys for having a humble, open heart, because that, like, the audience can feel it without knowing what it is. So just want to say that. Josie, what do you think in terms of having a place in making the cast feel safe or whatever? What do you think?
Well, I was actually going to speak to just that same thing you named, Salisha, which is that I think we've really, and this is partially because John and I come from an artistic background. We understand what artistic collaboration is because we've done it, and it's our training. That from the beginning, we were trying to build real camaraderie and trust among the artists and the producers. And we always started with that as a basis. Like, we started with that with the writing team. And then once Mark Bruni got involved, we were really trying to create that collaboration between Dan and Julianne and Mark and us. And then once Josh got involved, right? So like every time we've added someone, it's like you bring like one person into the family before the family has to literally quadruple, quintuple, right? It has to get so big once you move into a theater. But if the core is stable and trusting to begin with, then you can weather all sorts of things. And one of the things we used to talk about when we were first trying to choose which writers to work with, obviously we chose Dan and Julianne because they're massively, massively talented. And when we were talking with them, one of the things we said was, we want to work with people where, like, if we're in tech and the shit starts to hit the fan and it's 3 a.m. and we need to have a conversation, that we can all do that, right? We've built this trust because I'm sorry, that is theater. Like, that's what it is, right?
That is so real.
That's what it is.
Can I say that I asked you guys a trick question because I already knew the answer? As somebody who has worked with both of you, I can say that, yeah, you absolutely cultivate a safe environment. John, you have an acting background. You speak actor. I can't tell you how many times you came into a room and I was so nervous and you put me at ease right away because you know exactly what I was going through. I think you were even on tour at you know exactly what the actors are feeling because you are one. You've been one. Josie, same thing. You pulled me aside before the whole George Floyd, everything happened in the pandemic. You pulled me and Jordan aside and you were like, what do you guys need? Are you getting what you need? Is there anything that we can develop in the script to help us tell the story that needs to be told? You were doing that before it was cool and on trend. So you guys are both special. You're so special. And I'm so happy for you because you have finally gotten this beautiful work. And I will never stop praising Trevor. I will never stop having positive things to say about it because it was so important in my life and relatable to me, even though I'm not gay and I'm not a little boy. Like, it was still relatable.
Mm.
Before I let you go, I still have a couple more questions for you. I do want to ask for you, John, what do you like better? Because you're good at everything. Do you like being an actor? Yes, I said that, and I mean it.
John, you are good at many, many, many things.
Okay.
Do you like being an actor better or a producer better?
No, honestly, it's an interesting question. I don't know how to answer it because I think they're so vastly different. And the thing about it is that they're also intrinsically linked. So it's like the things that I know about from being an actor are the reasons why I love producing, and the things that I know about from producing are the reason why I love being an actor. They're even though they are in the same industry, they are very different pieces of the pie. So I can't really say that I like one better than the other. They're incredibly different. They use different sides of who I am and what I do. Which one I like, I don't like either better. They're like children. I like them equally. They're like my children. I like them equally. I've given careers personalities in order to describe them. So if anybody was taking me seriously, now is the time to let it go. No, I can't tell you which one I like better, but I do like them both equally and for different reasons.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And we're living in a time where you don't have to be put in a box, even though I literally just tried to put you one. I'm just kidding. No, like you can do all the things. You don't have to just be a producer or just be an actor. You can embrace all the different talents and gifts that you've been given and run with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. I think I would call myself a theater artist. I wouldn't necessarily call myself an actor or a producer or a this or that, because I think I exist in the soup. I exist in the theater soup, and to me, it's I was saying to a friend of mine is like, I get what theater is. It's in my bones. It's been in my bones since I was a child. I walk into a theater and I can smell the black leg curtains and I go, I'm home. I just feel that way, whether I'm sitting at a tech table discussing, producerial things, or whether I'm waiting to enter stage right. It's the same feeling.
I love that. And Josie, for you, you know that you're a badass being a woman in this male-dominated field. How, let's see here. How is that? How is it walking into a room knowing that you are outnumbered, but that you are still in the room?
It's complicated. Interestingly, just like John wears many hats, like when I'm not directing and producing, I'm a teacher and a facilitator and I do healing work. And I don't see them as different. I actually see it all as part of my sorry to be super hippie here, but like as my purpose in this lifetime, like it is like I am here to facilitate stories coming to the surface that need to come to the surface. And so when it's actually super helpful that I do this other work that I do, because when I walk into these very male dominated rooms, they don't have that lens at all. And
Right.
It's okay. It's okay that they don't. That's all right. But sometimes I walk into the room and like I make a little Reiki symbol before I walk in, or I say a little prayer before I walk in. I'm like, I'm going to walk into this room on this high rise in Manhattan. Yes. And like, I'm just going to imagine loving light coming from all of these people around the table.
Yes.
Even though they might not be that nice to each other all the time.
Right. Your energy is important. And I think sometimes being the minority, and you're the minority in a room full of men. So like, a lot of times I can imagine your energy is important. You're in the room for a reason. What you think and how you feel and how you deal with problems or how you problem solve is important, because as the minority, you're seeing it differently than everybody else. So
yeah, absolutely. But I'm also super picky about the projects that I do. Like I'm only going to do projects that fit into that framework that I just named, right? It's about, and so the other thing I have to keep in mind is I'm like, okay, so it might be that I'm in a room here of people who do all sorts of projects, but if they've come to this one, I know that there's a piece of them that's here for this part too.
Yeah.
I know that if someone's working on Trevor, it can't all be, it's not the same thing as working on something that's like just an entertainment. Trevor is hugely entertaining, but it's not just that. Right? And I'm always going to be interested in things that are entertaining. And I'm always going to be interested in stories that are about healing. And so if I'm in a room with all those dudes, and I can get a little, sometimes we all get a little stirred up sometimes, like, what's going on? Like, I just have to remember, if y'all are here working on this, there are pieces of you that want this kind of healing story in the world too. And I'm going to go there. Like that is where I'm going to go. And I think it's really important for all of us, because none of us can do everything, and nor should we try to. Right? We're meant to be in community. We're wired to be in community. We're meant to find partners who balance us. So I'm always like looking around the room to be like, okay, like I know I have this blind spot over here, but it's a good thing I'm working with so-and-so because they don't have a blind spot for that. Right. And then I hope that I can balance my partners in their blind spots. That's how I want to work. We're like, we're creating this organism.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that final question for both of you guys. In another 10 years, where do you see yourselves individually or together, whatever, in 10 years from now? And we're not talking about making the next basketball shot. Where do you see yourselves in 10 years?
That is such a scary question when you're middle-aged.
I'll go if you're not ready, John.
I don't have an answer.
You don't have an answer.
How dare you be such a comedian?
I'll go. Let me go. Let me go. Then you can breathe with the question a little bit.
I'm gonna sit in myself at the moment and just let that. I'm gonna let that
You
steep.
let that stew. I have to tell you, like right before I turned 40, one of my friends who's in his 60s, I tend to have a lot of friends who are older than me.
Wait, Josie, can I just interrupt you really quickly because you're gonna love this. Is gonna be a great start to your thing. At the very beginning of this interview, you asked us like, how did this whole thing come about? Is there any way that you could make it happen faster? And I forget why we were talking about this, but we were going over a contract. Josie, I, and Mark were going over a contract, and it was about deliverables. So like an underlying rights contract might be like, you have to get this done by this time, by this time, by this time. And so that ends up over a certain period of time. And
What?
we were in our 30s. And Josie went, well, I don't want to do this contract because this means that I'm 40 years old by the time this thing gets done, and I don't want to wait till I'm 40. And I was like, yeah, it's a good point. I don't want to wait till I'm 40 either.
Here we are.
Well, here we are.
42.
I just like the idea that we were like, we're not waiting till we're 40 to do this. This is going to be done way before we're 40.
Oh my gosh.
And actually, that was like the reason why we were like, we have to just reform this contract because it had nothing to do with the show. It was just like, we have to be on to another project by the time we're 40.
Oh my gosh. Time
Those
is
contracts
money.
get rewritten
But
over
here we
time.
are.
Now we know. Now we know how long it takes, right? Okay, in 10 years, I have some ideas for some other projects cooking up, is one thing. Another thing is like, John and I have been working together since we were in our early 20s. I imagine that John and I will continue to find projects together for the rest of our lives. That doesn't mean we'll necessarily work on everything together, but John and I will always find ways to collaborate. We're like, we're artistic soulmates.
Yes. I love that.
Or sometimes I think of John as like my brother. Like I feel like we have a kinship. And I'm also like, I'm kind of a radical. So the other thing that, without getting into too many specifics, like I'm really interested in the next 10 years about ways that things can change. And so that is something that drives me.
I see you, Josie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for that. Oh, I'm here for that.
I know you are.
I'm going to have you on Black Hair in the Big Leagues.
Is there space for white girls on there? I don't know.
Maybe we can create for you. I love that. I love all of that. John.
Oh man, you think that after Josie said something that would like spark some idea in my head, and I'd be like, obviously this was what you meant to say when this question was asked. But that didn't happen, and this is what I'll say. In our show, our person says, in 10 years, like think big, think ahead, think what you want to be, think about what you want to be, and that's how you're going to get there. And I love that thinking, and I have done a lot of that in my life. But being over 40, in another 10 years, I would like to look ahead and see what doors open for me rather than trying to push through doors. So I want to see what doors open, and I look in and say, what's going on in there? Since I've spent most of my life thinking ahead and what I want, maybe I want a little bit more in the next 10 years to be about what happens unto me and how that can arrive and grow.
Wait,
so instead,
that's brilliant.
I mean, is it brilliant?
Yeah, I think it is. You're following your curiosity. You think because you've been working your butt off your whole life. And that is a part of you. You might still do it without even trying to, but you're saying you want to be at a point to where you can just enjoy the ride and just be curious and see where it leads, because you've already been led to so many places. I mean, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. And life is a crazy ride. Like you can end up anywhere.
You could. And
being
not
open
knowing,
to that.
and I think you might find some great things if you don't know where you're going. So I'm interested to find those great things. So instead of saying this is what I see, in another 10 years you can ask me what happened, and I'll tell you.
Oh, I love that. How can people find you and follow you, both of you?
On Instagram, I'm at Josie Bray Healing Arts. And my website is josiebray.com.
All right. That's JOSIEBRAY. Cute. And John?
And if you want to follow me, my phone number is 617-501-3008. Why? Give me a call. I'll help you do anything you want. I'm also on Instagram. I don't know my handle. I'm also on Facebook. Any of these things are fine. Reach out. I'm ready to help.
Wow. Okay. Do you want me to blur that out? Or are you like, no, for real?
I don't know. Like, do we think that people are going to randomly call me? Let's find out. I'm ready to take some phone. I guarantee you that my putting my phone number on this will engender not a single phone call.
Uh-oh. Now you're going to have 10 million calls.
I kind of love it. Actually, you know what's interesting is that when we were in the city, I was when we were doing auditions for Trevor, I got a message through Instagram from a young man, and he said, I saw that you were doing Trevor, and I just graduated college, and I want to be a producer. Will you meet with me? And I said, sure. So I met with him at a coffee shop on the Upper West Side, and producing is a weird.
I sorry, Josie, you got muted. Can you unmute? Sorry.
Okay. There was a huge sound problem.
Yeah. Is it okay? Is it fixed? You good? I don't hear anything.
I don't hear anything.
I'm so
sorry.
You
were telling your story and it was inaudible.
Okay. Oh, could you hear me, Salish?
A little bit, but it was a lot of noise on top of you. So I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's okay.
Say again.
Same story. So when we were doing casting for Trevor, I got a message on my direct message on Instagram, and it was a young man, and he said, I just graduated from college and I want to be a producer. Will you meet with me? And so I met him on the Upper West Side in the mid 70s somewhere at a coffee shop. And being a producer really isn't a job. But I met with him and we spent, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours talking together. And at the end of it, he said, thank you so much for meeting with me. And I said, this career, this thing that we do, is the theater in general is not a linear career. It's not like other careers where you go to school, you do well, you go to college, you do well, you then go to this kind of specialty school and you do well, and then you do well as an intern, and then you do well in the career. We don't follow a linear path like that. And any opportunity that has found me has been because I, randomly reached out to somebody and said, will you talk to me? Will you tell me what they're doing? And so whenever someone finds me and asks me, will you talk to me? The answer from me is always yes, because I don't know how you do it unless people that are above you or who have gone ahead of you say yes to you, and say yes to giving you information that you otherwise couldn't have. So I'm always very impressed by people who find their way and take a leap and say, look, I don't know where this coffee is gonna lead me, but what I do know is if I talk to you, maybe I'll find my way going forward. Maybe I can create some sort of linear direction through whatever this chaotic career is. So I always say yes to people that reach out directly to me and say, will you meet me for coffee? So my phone number can stay on this podcast. And if, 500,000 people call me, number one, Salisha, congratulations, because that is, you have some followers. Number one. Number two, just, give me some time and I'll try to get through all the calls.
Oh my gosh. I love that. And I love both of you guys. Thank you so much for spending your morning with me. Thank you for coming on the Salisha Show. I love you both.
Love the Salisha Show.
Love you too, Salish. You're amazing.
I think you're amazing. Thank you guys so much. Mwah.